Nevada, which looks suspiciously like Ventura, California. People claim I'm doxing myself by these walks because you can see where I live, and I was like, it's not doxing if I repeatedly tell you where I live. Is there anybody who doesn't know where I live? But yes, lovely day here in Ventura, California. That looks surprisingly like Fresno, Nevada. Another day of trying to do my walk and quest for positivity in the new year in honor of our departed friend Adam the Woo, which means it's another time to talk about role-playing game ideas and controversy. Now, before we get into today's, which is doors, because I don't think we talk about doors enough when we're talking about the hobby, I do have to mention that there's a little Wizards of the Coast upsetness. So as you know, Wizards of the Coast has been hiring or moving a lot of individuals to the nebulous department of Dungeons and Dragons design. And we had a new one go up the other day, and it should come as a shock to no one whatsoever that apparently this individual follows the same path that all the other individuals that Wizards of the Coast has hired follow politically and philosophically, and pretty much the exact same cookie cutter that they have been following for the past, I don't know, since 5 years. And yet people were surprised that Wizards of the Coast would hire this woman. They were upset that this Wizards of the Coast would hire this woman. They had to go onto her LinkedIn and go through her streams and go through her posts to find things so they could say she was, and I quote, a goddamn pinko commie. First off, who still uses that word? Pinko commie? What year do you think this is? Second, why are you still surprised? Why are you still upset? Did you think that, oh, D&D is going to change, Wizards of the Coast is going to change? They're not going to hire the same person that they've been hiring for the past 5 years. They're finally it's going to be different. No. The fact that there are people who are still surprised and upset and feel the need to dedicate time and energy to complaining about this is ridiculous. And I put it to you again, as I have been for the past 2 years, if they did change, if they suddenly decided to end the, oh, that's a big task.
Oh, it's down now, I guess.
Ah, good luck, man.
Yeah.
What if they, suddenly said, oh, we're sorry for abusing you guys for the past 5 years, forgive us, come back and play? Would you? Because that's really what surprises me. Not that this individual that they hired is exactly like all the other individuals that they hired. Hello, little friend. But that you're still surprised. All right, moving on. Doors. We don't talk about doors enough in the hobby, because doors are kind of boring unless there's something interesting behind them. You know, we talk about traps, we talk about puzzles, we talk about tricks, we talk about dungeons. We don't really talk about the doors. The doors are the unsung heroes of the dungeon. Sure, sometimes doors can be interesting if they have traps or if there's something behind them, but for the most part, the door, you know, it's wood, it's got a handle. I don't know how it got here. Doesn't matter. It's a door. But, you know, there's something that somebody once said a while ago. I don't know where I heard it, but it's interesting to ponder. And it's a very simple premise, but there's so much implied in it. It's like a door is designed to keep something out or to keep something in. And that's the one we don't really think about enough. I mean, we know the refrigerator door is designed to keep the cold in. The bank vault door is designed to keep the money in. The ancient door with the weird scribbles on it is designed to keep some horrible Lovecraftian horror in. The front door is designed to keep strangers out. What is that door designed to keep in? Or what is that door designed to keep out? Especially in a dungeon, right? I mean, sure, in a castle, in a house, in a building, doors, yes, but why do you have doors deep in this vast underground labyrinth? Who thought, oh yeah, an inch of plywood on a hinge is definitely going to keep the threats out. We're going a different way today. I like to explore different streets every time we go on our walks because I, lived here like 4 years now, and there's still places, parts of this I don't know anything about. I used to walk around the old neighborhood a lot, if you remember the videos from Site A, but not so much this one. It's a very pretty neighborhood, but it's kind of boring until you go down some of the side streets. Anyway, so we don't think about doors enough. We don't think about, why is that door there? How did that door get here? Why did they feel the need to put a door? Because, again, in a house, the door makes sense. Deep in the Underdark, why is a dragon going to take time out of its busy day to put in a 5x5 door? Well, that'll keep those goblins occupied, I tell you. So if there is a door, a door's got to be there for a reason. A door's got to be there to either keep something in or keep something out. It could be something simple, or it could be something really cool and intense, and it doesn't have to be some Machiavellian Rube Goldberg Tomb of Horrors trap for the door. It could just be, something interesting. All right. It could tell a story. What's really interesting is the evolution of secret doors and hidden doors, right? And we have secret doors in dungeons, but we never really think about them. We don't really think about why the secret door's there. Because if you look through the history of secret doors, especially in castles, where we're most familiar with them, they're usually there to serve one of three purposes. And all of them are pretty sneaky, pretty lowbrow. Some of them are even a little bit, on the underhanded side. So secret door number one, so people could get in and out without being seen. That's the most common one. So the butlers, the servants, whatever, could move around the castle without being seen, without being in the way. And if you are well off enough to have a castle, if you're well enough to have servants, if you're well enough to have people come over, part of the mystique is things just suddenly appearing. How did that food get there? It just suddenly appeared. Now, and I know it was the servants who put the food there. It was the servants who filled my bath. But because of the secret doors, you never saw them. And it was very much part of the proper out of sight, out of mind. If I don't see the servant, I don't know that the servant brought the food. The food just mysteriously appeared there. And wow, isn't our host amazing that this food just appears, that my bed is just made? That's very cool. It's kind of sinister. That's very cool. And more real practical, not just the whole, I'm rich, I can afford this. It's, it probably takes a lot of energy for somebody to move a 30-pound table from one end of the house to the other. You don't want to be walking down the main hallway, lugging somebody's furniture or clothes, and get in the way of other people, right? But the secret door allows you to go from any place to any other place in the house without getting in the way or being seen. And yes, it is kind of scummy that that's the way they treated the servants, but it's also kind of like the house has a whole secret other house. It's a term you hear a lot about in older homes, Victorian homes, castles, the house inside the house. So that's something to think about. If there's a secret door and a secret passageway in the dungeon or wherever, is it there because it was designed to facilitate movement without those individuals being seen? Second secret door, priest hole, was so you could spy on people. Again, we don't know historically when this practice first started. Probably dates back farther than we think. But it was usually, a little passage from one room to another room where things would be going on. And there would be a little peephole. the classic eyes in the painting, which, is sort of based upon fact. So if you wanted to know what people were saying about you behind there, but you didn't want them to know that you were, or if you wanted to spy on people or blackmail them or find out things about them, you would have these priest holes, these little teeny holes, these little teeny passageways where you could go watch and listen to people in another chamber without them hopefully knowing you're there, as long as you don't sneeze or anything. And that's kind of insidious and cool to think that, why would that be in a dungeon? Who built the dungeon, and what is it that I don't want them to see? I don't want the guys to know that I'm listening to them plot to kill me. I don't want the hot, sexy dryad to know that I spy on her in her sleep. Okay, that's kind of creepy, but it's, let's face it, it happened. Which leads us to the other one, which was, of course, the mistress corridor. The other secret door, and this is, again, probably the one we're most familiar with, is the little secret passageway where the king could go visit his mistress or whatever without anybody else knowing. And supposedly his wife didn't know about the mistress. Supposedly the wife didn't know about the passageway. But of course, history shows us, yes, usually she did know. She chose to ignore it because, again, if I don't see you having an affair, I don't know you're having an affair, right? Proper decorum says so there we go. There's secret doors. And then, why is that secret door in the dungeon? What story is that secret door telling? Whether it's something as simple as just getting from point A to point B without having to deal with what's in between point A and point B, or something more cool or spooky. Sneak in, kill somebody in their sleep, sneak out. There's no evidence. How did that guy die? Now, the last secret door that we are aware of the ones that are most common in architecture, is the one that's truly scummy. And this one sort of dates back, we think, to Egypt, or just around that time period when there were massive amounts of slaves building shit. And those slaves, while building stuff, saw stuff. I mean, they want the slaves to see stuff, but of course they had to see stuff. They had to see the room where you were putting important stuff because they were building it. So we know that at some point in time, we got to kill those slaves, right? Unfortunately, it's a fact. We got to do it. And if we're Egyptians or the other cultures around that time where we're just so fascinated and obsessed with death and secrets and weird rituals that may or may not be true, we kind of have to be a little bit of showboaty about it. So we would put in a secret door that would allow the important people to get in and out, but the general slaves would not know about it. And sometimes you would have different groups build different parts of the thing and never have those groups meet. You would have the night crew and the day crew, and hopefully they never met. So the night crew couldn't tell the day crew where they put stuff, and the day crew couldn't tell the night crew where stuff was. So there was that sense of mystery. And then you add in a secret passage that only the higher ups know about, the engineers, and maybe once the engineers don't share that information, so each one takes it to their grave, then when the place is done and you seal it up, you seal the slaves inside because you don't want them getting out and telling people about where the treasure is. Meanwhile, you know where the secret door is, so you can leave before the rest of the place is sealed up. And yeah, there's definitely some coolness points for the amount of thought that goes into that, but let's face it, you're basically murdering all the free labor. It's not bad enough I tortured you for 20 years to build this place for us. Now I'm going to kill you. And I'm not going to kill you in your sleep. No. I'm going to kill you in this really overcomplicated, very Machiavellian, very ingenious, quasi-religious way, because now your spirits will serve me in the afterlife because I murdered you in this room. Really? Do you think they'd want to still serve you after you murdered them? But it happened. And that brings us back to doors, secret doors. You know what we're talking about today. You're designing your adventure, or you're reading an adventure, and there's a secret door. There's a hidden door. There's normal doors. There's trap doors. Why is that there? Who put it there? What is the story that door, secret door, hidden door has to tell? Or is it just there because the designer had to fill empty space? Which is a legitimate reason for a secret door in reality. But in Fantasyland, where we're willing to, forgive anything resembling the actual process needed to build a monumental structure like that. I love it when I get to use my archaeology training to talk to you guys. Oh yeah, that's right, you get a degree in archaeology. We don't have to explain, right? Magic. How did that dungeon get there? Magic. Why did the wizard build the dungeon? Because it's D&D, I don't have to explain it. It's Star Wars, I don't have to explain it. It's superheroes, I don't have to explain it. In real life, yes, I have to explain it. Even back then, before they had things like OSHA and engineering and people whose jobs it was to make sure you were actually building the building safe, you had to justify the expense. You had to justify why that passageway was there. So, if after all that magicking, the wizard, dragon, whatever, built the whole dungeon, and then there's a secret door because the guy who was writing the dungeon realized he had empty space he had to fill, well, that can't just be a because. Because you accept the fact that this godlike power built this place, probably 99% knew what it was doing. It's not suddenly going to go, oops, I left an empty spot, put in a secret door. No, I mean, okay, yeah, maybe it could, but it's sort of highly unlikely. Now, you could just say, OGGM, suspension of disbelief. Yes, well, if we were just talking about the rule of cool and the suspension of disbelief, that would make these conversations very boring, wouldn't it? I wouldn't be spending 20 minutes regaling you with tales of antiquity and anthropology and archaeology and things I had to study when I was getting my mostly useless archaeology degree, along with all my other degrees. I would just go, oh yeah, dungeon, rule of cool, suspension of disbelief, video over. Oh yeah, adventure, monsters, rule of cool, suspensions of disbelief, video over. Which is purely justifiable, purely understandable. We accept that if we're going to play this game of these ridiculous, why does it smell like bacon? Oh my God. Of these ridiculous premises, then we just have to sort of build in the fact that we accept that there's stuff that in these ridiculous premises of this game that doesn't have to be explained. Rule of cool, rule of zero, suspension of disbelief. Why is it there? Because it's D&D. But that would make these videos pretty short and pretty boring, and probably not as interesting. So I will offer these explanations and these reasons, because the way my mind works, especially if I'm really into the adventure, I want to know. I want to know why that lever's there. I want to know why that door's there. I want to know why they hid this. Because it must have been important, otherwise they wouldn't have bothered. Especially if it's a natural cave, right? I mean, maybe if it was a structure that was built, sure, but we're wandering around in the caves of whatever, of chaos, or the caves of flam, and you suddenly stumble across a hidden door, secret door in a cave. You're like, why would a bear build a secret door? What has that bear got to hide? Huh? What is that dinosaur? Why is it a whole bunch of creatures that don't have opposable thumbs that are populating this cave? Put a door here. What is that door designed to keep out? What is that door designed to keep in? That's the one, I really like thinking about. Because, door keep thing out. Well, simple enough. But door to keep thing in, that's far more frightening. That means somebody went through all the time and effort to build this door specifically to make sure that what's ever on the other side of the door never gets out. What is it? How frightening is it? How important is it? Otherwise, that door's just there. And again, D&D, it's fine if the door's just there. You don't have to offer an explanation for your secret doors and traps and tricks and whatever else, because it's a dungeon. And we accept the mythic story of the dungeon. We accept as we get deeper into the dungeon, into the mythic underworld, into the forest, it gets weirder. And we don't have to explain. Every level we have to explain left. Every level we have to explain left. We can hand wave more the deeper we get into the forest of the unknown. Unless you have to deal with players like me or other obsessive compulsive players who, if they see a door, wants to know, what is that door keeping in? What is that door keeping out? Why is that door hidden? When did they have time to build this? Why did they build this? And why you may never have to deal with an obsessive compulsive know-it-all like me. You also might, So I'm not saying, oh yes, you have to write an explanation for every inch, nook, cranny, door. But let's face it, we know there are players out there who will explore every inch and spend 15 minutes per hex on the off chance they missed one discarded copper piece. So it's good to have these ideas floating in the back of your mind. That's why I do these, There's no hard and fast. You're going to find your own denouement of design. Ooh, I used denouement in a sentence. Probably incorrectly. And you're going to find what works for you. And maybe you are the DM that needs to explain everything. Maybe you're that's a hallway. I didn't put anything in the hallway, but I mean, if they really want to waste 15 minutes searching, one, there's 15 minutes worth of rendering monster encounters I get to roll, and two, sure, maybe somebody lost a copper piece in between the nooks and crannies. Whatever. Why is that secret door there? Do I have to explain it? Well, I mean, if they ask, then I'll explain it. But if they don't ask, I won't explain it. So you don't have to write down every inch of the dungeon and describe it. You just have to go, all right, I'm putting this secret door here. Why is it here? And just, it just bobs around in the back of the head with all your other ideas that you have to throw out occasionally when the players do something you didn't expect, which, if we know players, is pretty much all the time. So there you go, doors. They don't get enough love. We don't talk about them enough. So there we go. There's a little dungeon door appreciation post before we get to our regularly scheduled dungeon design nonsense on the days where there's nothing else to talk about. Oh, somebody responded. Poor Orc Child says, we are just laughing at them. I assume Poor Orc Child means they're laughing at Wizards of the Coast for hiring another person. Why do you still care? Do you really, I put this question to you in all honesty, do you really think they're going to change? Did you really think that when they started opening these positions for new people, they were going to change and suddenly hire somebody who's actually worth the time and effort? Somebody who has actually contributed to the hobby for more than 8 years? Somebody who does not share the same pablum that the rest of the Wizards of the Coast staff is forced to follow? No. You want to laugh at them, you make videos like I do. You don't make threats and call them commie pinko scum who deserve to die. Because that says you're angry to me. And then I just have to question, why are you angry? I don't understand. One, what part of you really thinks they're going to stop? Howdy, how you doing? Huh? Do you really think Wizards is going to wake up one morning and go, oh man, I'm sorry we spent the last 8 years pissing off the entire industry. We're not going to hire somebody who has the exact same skills as everybody else we're going to hire. We're going to hire somebody who actually knows what they're doing. And that person might not be a woke liberal, which I'm not. They might not be a commie pinko scum. They might just be a reasonable liberal. Or they could be a Republican. Or they might even be an extreme conservative. But we're not hiring them for their politics. We're hiring them for their skills. Because we don't care about their politics. As long as they don't bring it to work. I'm not paying you $22 an hour to tell me what you think of president. I'm paying you $22 an hour to design adventures that are good and new and original. Then I'd understand if you were upset. If you felt that Wizards was actually going to change and do something different, and you were led to believe that, oh yeah, they're going to change. I'm so excited. Oh, they didn't change. I'm upset. God damn it, they hired another commie pinko scum, ungodly heathen who deserves to die in flames. That's yours truly. Still don't remember. Still, let's not forget you got people called me that. So, yeah. And second, more importantly, and I ask this all the time, would you want to? You are in an abusive relationship if you are a fan of Wizards of the Coast at this point in time. You do not mean anything to them other than money. They do not care about the game. They have made that perfectly clear. They have been talking shit about their own buyers, both conservative and liberal, for years now. Since 2020, when they first put this... Howdy. When they first announced this shift, they have made it very clear what they think of people like you and me. Doesn't matter if you're conservative or liberal, Democrat, Republican, extreme or normal. If you don't fit within the teeny little bubble that they told you the bubble was repeatedly, you're not worth their time, because you exist to put money in their pockets, because D&D is not worth any money. D&D branding, perpetuating this false myth, that's where the money is. And you cannot say, oh, I didn't know Wizards that. Wizards has told you repeatedly, almost monthly, that is what they think. So you're in an abusive relationship if you are investing money and time in them, which means you're okay with that. So if Wizards of the Coast suddenly said, oh, we're going to hire, I don't know, the ghost of Tim Kask. We're going to hire Mike Merles back. We're going to hire the OG GM. We want somebody here who's actually reasonable. We're going to completely change. We're sorry we spent the last 10 years abusing you, honey. Please come back. We promise we changed. We did the work. We went to therapy. Look, I'm a feminist now, okay? I'm in touch with my feelings. Would you go running back to Wizards of the Coast like some abused dog? Oh, I forgive you for abusing me for the past 10 years, Wizards of the Coast. I still love you. Please bring D&D back. Or would you be a reasonable human being like me and go, no, I've got the game that I want to play. You don't make a game I want to play. There's nothing that you have made that I don't already own. Oh, look, you're redoing the same adventure for the 8th time. I have the original. Armor class hit points does not change that much between editions. A 1st edition orc and a 10th edition orc, and a Shadow Dark orc, and a Dungeon Crawl Classic orc, and an Osric orc are pretty much the same. I don't need your stuff. I don't need to spend money on a company that's told me how much they hate me. So when they hire somebody, and that somebody is exactly like every other person they're hired, I'm not surprised. I gave it no lip service when it was announced. I think I spent 2 minutes mentioning who she was and what she did. And then I move on because, oh, look, they hired another Mackenzie. What a shock. Cat Monroe, I just follow the news. That's fine. That's what I do. I follow the news. I'm here to tell you every day, if I can, what Wizards of the Coast. If it's worth more than 2 minutes, I'll actually talk about it. But at this point, it's only worth a 2-minute short once. Hey, Wizards of the Coast hired somebody new. Hey, I know a lot of people are saying Wizards of the Coast hasn't announced anything for 2026. I hate to be on Wizards of the Coast side of this argument, but yes, they have. As of today, they have announced 20 products for 2026. What is the magic line that Wizards of the Coast has to cross to prove to you, yeah, we are making stuff? We're not making a new adventure, as far as you know. We're not making a new setting. We don't need to. We're making filler. We're making fluff. This is an expansion. We're doing the same thing we do with Magic. 1 year important, 1 year fluff. 1 year important, 1 year fluff. This is the fluff year. We're not going to get anything major because June 2027. Dungeons and Dragons 6X. Is that still a thing? It has been since 2020. Does that mean they're going to release a new edition? Of course they are. Does that mean they've actually been working on a new edition? Yes. It'd be stupid not to think they were working on it. Will we ever see it? Nah. But they're working on it. They've probably been working on it since 2014. It's like saying, oh man, I bought an iPhone. Mac's never going to make another iPhone. I don't need to, think about it. Of course they're going to make another iPhone. Of course they're working on it. Where do you think 5.1 came from? 10 years of them working on it. Wizards is not going to change. They told you what the plan was. They repeatedly tell you what the plan was. The fact that you're still upset about it, I don't get it. I mean, are you doing it just to generate negative clicks? Because oh, hey, my fan base is more likely to follow me if I say horrible things about Wizards of the Coast's new employee instead of just mention that they hired a new employee. Well, that might be working now, but eventually your fan base is going to get tired of that. They're going to want more. We're seeing all the dungeon tubers change the way they're doing this stuff because, oh no, my last video didn't make 64,000K views. I got to rethink. Otherwise, I might have to go back and get a real job. They said that. So they're changing. Because the audience, it loses interest. You need to change. You need to be more than just, I'm gonna, talk shit about everybody like a certain Canadian. We need to, you be better than that. Be better than those people like him. Because nobody cares what her politics is. We know what her politics are. Anyways, what does that have to do with talking about doors? Nothing. But that brings our 20-minute walk to an end. We didn't see anything interesting this time. But you never know. We'll find a different block next time. If you appreciate me wasting your time with these random thoughts, thank you very much. If you don't appreciate me wasting your time with these random thoughts, that's completely understandable. My bullshit is not for everybody. I will be the first to admit I am an idiot. I'm also apparently an AI. 6 years of hating you. So yeah, I'm trying to be more positive. I really am. I don't know if I'm succeeding, but I'm going out there every day. I'm doing the 20-30 minute walk. I'm talking to you guys. I'm showing you something pretty and nice. I'm trying to be more like my heroes, Adam the Woo and Justin Scard and, Runehammer, and not just be the grumpy guy that was sitting in his house, just making video after video about how shitty other people were. You deserve better than that. And I'm trying. I really am trying. Maybe you appreciate that. Maybe you don't. I don't know. It's not like I ever expect to have 64,000K views. I'm happy if I have 6. Till then, get off my land. Dun, 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 dun.